They discovered the mysterious wife of Noah, the untold story of her shocking survival. Few knew what truly happened that night. The night the skies unleashed their fury and the world as they knew it was drowned in chaos. The rain fell in torrents, relentless and unforgiving. Lightning cracked across the darkened sky like a warning of the impending doom. And amidst this storm, in a cramped, creaking wooden ark, a woman clutched her children, trembling. This woman was Naamah, the hidden wife of Noah, whose story slipped through the cracks of time. Noah was known a prophet, obeying God's command, building the massive vessel destined to carry life away from the wickedness of men. But what of his wife? What was her role in the tale that changed everything? Naamah, submerged in shadows, seemed a simple companion. Yet, in the heart of the storm, a quiet strength radiated around her. Whispers floated through the air, tales of how she faced the unimaginable, sheltering her family while grappling with her own internal battles. The world outside the ark was one of chaos and despair. Trees, once towering, bowed with the weight of the torrential waters. Animals cried out, instinctively aware that survival hung by a thread. The moment was pivotal, hope and primal fear clashed in the air. Naamah, with every heartbeat, felt the weight of the lives held within the wooden walls close to crumbling. Would the rains ever cease? Would they find solace outside this prison, or was death waiting at the door? Details slipped through her fingers, visions of her children smiling in the sun, the warmth of laughter echoing through their home, all washed away by the rising tide. But then came the time for unexplained miracles, a flicker of light through the flood. Was it a vision, or was something more significant taking shape? As the night dragged on, tension hung thick. Other voices echoed Noah's fervent prayers, shouts of unease from their sons, the restless stirrings of the animals crammed together. Each moment, a whisper of their divine mission, yet filled with gnawing fear. What if they failed? What if she failed? As the hours dragged on, Naamah's thoughts swirled. Remembering the stories of their ancestors, she pondered, was this truly the end or a beginning in disguise? The door of the ark closed like the final chapter of a book yet to be rewritten. Her heart raced. Was her husband's faith enough to carry them while she battled the storm within? What lay beyond the waves once the flood subsided? And could a woman, hidden in history, forge a path forward through chaos and despair? The answers hung tantalizingly close but ever out of reach. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the hours slipped into the early morning, the storm's rage showed no signs of abating. Droplets pounded relentlessly against the ark's sides, a rhythmic symphony of despair. Naamah's heart raced not just from the fears that besieged her thoughts, but from a profound sense of purpose that stirred within. Clutching her children to her chest, she felt the warmth of their bodies, pulsing with the quiet life that still surrounded her. "Do not be afraid," she whispered to them, though her own heart trembled. How could she promise peace when nature itself raged with unrestrained fury? Yet, within her, a flicker of faith ignited, a remnant of the belief she shared with Noah, a hope that they could endure whatever calamity lay ahead. Outside, the world had submerged into an abyss of tumultuous waters. Naamah recalled the conversations she had shared with Noah in the quiet moments. He spoke of the covenant God made with mankind, long before their days aboard this vessel. Would it still hold? Even as she questioned it silently, a deeper intuition nudged her. Creation was more than a story penned in valleys of green, it was also a tale woven through the very fabric of their existence, often shrouded in mystery. Night melded into dawn, the waters no longer clashing against the wood but settling into a heavy silence. Naamah's gaze flickered to the horizon, a wordless yearning pulling her closer to that unseen world beyond. Lightning's brief illumination left memories of familiar skies painted with hues of oranges and blues. Would such colors return once this chapter concluded? Or was this an end that would stain their memories forever? Suddenly, amidst the heavy stillness, a soft sound penetrated the weighted air. A faint scratching. It was the animals. She wasn't alone in this silent vigil. The Ark, a sanctuary for both man and beast, held stories within stories, tales of survival. As Naima listened intently, she realized they too were a community, each sharing an unspoken bond fortified in fear yet threaded in a shared journey of survival. You are not just protectors, you are also healers, she reminded the creatures around her, feeling a shift in the energies that swirled within the Ark. The spirit of companionship crackled like energy in the air, reinforcing the notion that they were linked by fate. An instinct took root in her heart. Perhaps their survival relied not just on the steadfastness of Noah's faith but on the collective strength of all whose lives were entwined together in this vessel. Days turned into shadows, and the familiar faces of her family were sometimes swallowed by her worries. In time, Naima began to gather fragments of strength. She held gatherings among the animals, offering solace and companionship. Careful whispers of hope escaped her lips, uniting the fears woven into the lives within the Ark. It was then that she truly felt the rising tide of another storm, not one of wind and water, but of connection and resilience. Yet, amid this blossoming realm within, the question lingered, was the Ark merely a vessel of survival, or was it a space of rebirth? Those days became a tapestry of faith and uncertainty, and the thirst for understanding drove her thoughts. As day melded into night once again, Naima peered through a small window, trying to envision the future that awaited them. Flickering memories of lush landscapes filled her mind, and a question emerged unbidden: what new world would they awaken to, and what legacy would they bring to it? In this dance of survival, had they merely been spared, or had they been chosen for something greater than all their fears? The answers swirled in the depths of her being, just out of reach, as they all awaited the judgment of what lay beyond the rising flood. The stillness that settled within the Ark was almost sacred, a pause filled with the awaited hope that dawn would eventually break. In that enveloping calm, Naima's heart wrestled with conflicting emotions. The silence, though comforting, was punctuated by memories of the storms that raged outside and the uncertainty of the future. As the days unfolded, she recognized the profound shift occurring within her family. Noah, consumed once by the terrors of the flood and the heavy burden of prophecy, was gradually empowered by the nurturing environment she had begun to cultivate. His voice, once firm and isolated, echoed through the Ark, sharing not just the word of God but the richness of stories from ages past. These tales became a balm, knitting together the lives of all beings aboard, their purpose no longer shrouded solely in survival but blossoming into a collective journey of discovery. Naima started to notice changes in the animals too. The once restless creatures began to calm under her ministrations, sensing the woven fabric of unity that enveloped them. The lions, usually ferocious, shared space with the lambs, who no longer trembled in fear. In this mixed gathering, she saw a glimmer of the Creator's designated vision exceeding the mere existence of life, a melding of creation with reverence and grace. One evening, as the darkness wrapped around them like a warm blanket, Naima led the animals and her family in a sharing of stories. It was then that a sense of purpose crystallized within her. This Ark was not simply a refuge. It was a sanctuary of transformation, where fear could metamorphose into understanding, and the trials they endured were threads in the tapestry of a divine narrative. Even the lurking shadows of despair, clouding the corners of her thoughts, felt lighter in the company of her kin. She expressed her reflections on covenant and hope. Perhaps, she mused, the covenant God made with Noah was not simply for our survival, but for our awakening. Could it be that we are meant to learn compassion in the face of chaos? On a following day, she sought solace in the small window, gazing into the unchanging expanse of water, when she felt a sudden surge of longing. A question pressed upon her spirit: if the floodwaters were meant to cleanse, then what awaited beyond their tumultuous surges? The promise of the rainbow, a sign of hope, had not yet graced them, and yet, wonder filled her heart at the thought of life to come. A peculiar sound intruded upon her reverie, a low, mournful call of some creature she did not recognize. Intrigued, Naima ventured toward the source, her steps guided by an unseen current. The animals followed, curious, their postures mingling between caution and eagerness. In the dim light, beneath a small crack in the wood, she discovered a creature. Its eyes, ancient and wise, glistened with the knowledge of survival against impossible odds. "Where have you come from?" Naima questioned softly, her heart swelling with intrigue at this unwelcome stranger. "What secrets do you carry? What tales can you share about the world lost to us?" The creature, though unable to respond with words, seemed to understand the weight of her query. There was an unspoken communication, a passing of knowledge wrapped in a soulful connection. Naima recognized the enormity of this moment, a reminder of her intertwined destiny with all living beings, not just those aboard the ark. Returning to her family, she shared the encounter, igniting a fire of curiosity within them all. It became a topic of discussion that night, weaving through her children's minds and along the lines of Noah's wise thoughts. Each question layered upon another, crafting a future filled with possibilities and unknowns. As their conversations deepened, Naima felt something stirring within, a call to explore not just the world beyond but also the mysteries hidden within their hearts. Would the answers they sought find them in the joy of rekindled relationships, in the survival of their spirit, and in the embrace of the life awaiting them? The stars appeared in the night sky, twinkling like distant promises, and Naima breathed in the cool air with reverence. Indeed, the ark had carried them through the tempest, but it was not merely shelter, it was the beginning of something profound. As she turned to her family and the shared company of life around her, a final question flickered in her mind like the dying rays of the sun: what lessons would they carry from this chosen journey, and would they recognize the sacred purpose residing within each new day? As the days in the ark blended into a quiet rhythm of existence and contemplation, Naima became increasingly aware of a profound solitude that pervaded their small world. Even surrounded by her family and the multitude of creatures, there was still an ache within her, a yearning for connection beyond the confines of wood and water. Despite her efforts to foster unity and solace, the weight of isolation lingered. One morning, while tending to the youngest of the animals, Naima was struck by a sudden vision of the world before the flood. Memories flared to life: vibrant fields, the laughter of children playing and the scent of blooming flowers. How different it all must be now, she pondered. What remains of the beauty that once flourished? What of the laughter and warmth, now consumed by waves? With every passing hour, her thoughts slipped like grains of sand through her fingers, the uncertain future a grave reminder of what had been lost. Yet, within this ocean of despair, a flicker of hope began to stir, a feeling that the lessons of patience and resilience learned during these trials were forming the bedrock of something new. One afternoon, inspired by a growing desire to bridge the chasm between their survival and the potential for creation, Naima gathered her family once again. "Let's not exist only in survival," she urged. "Let us create a sacred space within this ark where we can share our burdens, our dreams, and our fears." That evening, as twilight spilled across the waves, they formed a circle, an assembly of souls determined to weave their collective narrative into existence. Noah spoke first, his voice steady and warm. "I know the storms we have weathered, but I, too, have felt the weight of silence." He looked at each family member, gathering their attention as if to solidify a bond stronger than wood and nails. "Let our stories be lights in this shadow. What have we learned? What sparks do we wish to ignite once the floodwaters recede?" A deep silence enveloped them as each wrestled with their thoughts. Naima's heart pounded as she took a deep breath. "I have felt fear, yes, but I have also felt an awakening to compassion. The creatures we care for are more than mere passengers, they are companions on a shared journey, each with their histories, their needs, and their gifts." Her words hung in the air like a prayer, stirring something deep within her children. They began to share stories of wonder and curiosity, recounting the beauty and joy of interactions with the animals, their fears of the formless abyss beyond and their dreams for the future. Within the tapestry of these heartfelt shares, Naima felt the stirrings of something divine, a sense of purpose that transcended the catastrophe they had endured. But amidst this gathering, a question lingered unvoiced. As laughter surfaced and echoes of old stories filled the space, a fear crept back into Naima's heart, doused in uncertainty. What if the world we return to is forever altered? What if the beautiful lives we once lived no longer exist? How will we navigate a landscape deprived of its former glory? Nights grew longer as they leaned into each other's embrace, sharing hopes like precious stones, each one a glimmer of what could be. Hope flickered in Naama's heart, reminding her of the promise of a better world that had yet to unveil itself, though its form remained shrouded. Their conversations became a blend of sorrow and determination, creating a new understanding of resiliency, a preparation for transformation. Yet, despite this burgeoning hope, the weight of the unknown remained. As she caught sight of the vast ocean stretching before them, Naama could not shake the sense that the final lesson they needed to learn lay just beyond the horizon. Would the work they began in the Ark stand strong enough to withstand the challenges of a new world? And would they recognize the beauty in the rebirth of their lives amid the remnants of what was lost? As her heart swelled with these contemplations, Naama looked out into the dark waters, wondering if the mystery of survival would lead to discovery not just of the promise of land, but of themselves. As the days smoothed into weeks, the routine aboard the Ark had become a fluid dance of care and companionship, yet a sense of trepidation lingered within Naama. The conversations woven in the evenings, mingling laughter with the soulful echo of their fears, had created a quilt of shared experience. But beneath the surface shimmered questions that haunted Naama during her moments of solitude, whispering truths yet to be unveiled. One particular morning, awash in the soft light that filtered through the small windows of the Ark, Naama felt a gentle nudge of inspiration. She gathered her family as the rising sun painted golden streaks across the water. "Let us take this time to explore our hearts even deeper," she proposed, her voice woven with strength and vulnerability. "We have forged a path through storms, yet I sense the need to confront the tempest within." With a nod of understanding, they expanded their circle, and Noah suggested a new tradition, a sharing of secrets, the fears that crept into their dreams, the guilt that settled in their hearts alongside the burdens of survival. Naama looked around at her family. Each face bore lines of weariness but also hints of unyielding hope. As the confessions began, Naama could feel the air grow thick with emotion. Her eldest son, Shem, spoke first. "I fear that I will never be able to live up to the legacy of my father," he admitted. "What if when we return, the world sees us only as remnants of a forgotten age? What if the strength of our lineage could not withstand this flood of reckoning?" Naama listened intently, her heart resonating with Shem's vulnerability. In that moment, she recognized that everyone felt the weight of expectations, bound by an invisible thread to a past that had been irrevocably changed. Next, Ham stepped forward, his voice trembling. "I have seen too much destruction and chaos. My spirit aches with the fear that I will carry this burden forever. Will I be able to trust again?" At that, Naama shared her deepest fear, one that had long taken residence within her mind. "I am afraid of forgetting the beauty of the world we once knew. All of us have lost something precious, and I worry that as the days blend into one another, the memories we share now will fade like mist." Silence hung in the air, pregnant with the weight of their confessions, until it was broken by the soft, earnest voice of Japheth. "What if, while we mourn what has been lost, we also sow the seeds of something greater? Can we create a world where each moment holds the potential for restoration?" His words sparked a reverberation within Naama as she closed her eyes, envisioning a world anew. Images filled her mind, the once verdant valleys, children's laughter echoing through fields, and the melody of flowing streams. "We must remember, even amidst the darkness, that we carry within us the fragments of beauty that can take root once again," she whispered. Yet, as each family member shared, another layer of unacknowledged truth rose within Naama's spirit, propelling her thoughts to uncharted territories. Could there be a greater meaning behind their gathering in the Ark? Perhaps this vessel wasn't merely a refuge but a Wamba sacred space for rebirth. As they prepared to cross the threshold from destruction to creation, the realization settled over her like a blanket, tender yet heavy with implications. Perhaps survival was not simply the act of continuing existence amid the tumult, but a call to explore their interconnectedness, to embrace the fragments of the past while daring to envision new beginnings. As dusk began to wrap its arms around the Ark, casting shadows over their circle, Naama questioned herself, would they find the strength to embrace their fears and transform their memories into the foundation upon which their new world could stand? What shape would their resilience take, and would they recognize the sacred in all that emerged from the depths of their collective experience? The mystery of their survival felt deeper than the flood itself, guiding them towards truths yet undiscovered. In the days that followed their emotional gathering, the atmosphere within the ark shifted subtly. The family's hearts had been laid bare, and as they continued their routine, a thin veil of expectation hung in the air. Each member, in their own way, grappled with the complexities of survival and the promise of renewal. Naima found herself deeply introspective, pondering the bond that had grown among them. It felt more profound now, as though the very act of sharing their fears had woven a tapestry of unity that would sustain them through the trials ahead. One day, as the rain poured unceasingly outside, clattering against the wooden hull like a somber choir, an unusual stillness settled over the ark. Suddenly, a sharp cry fractured the silence, a sound that bore both urgency and confusion. Naima rushed towards the sound, her heart pounding, and found Japheth standing wide-eyed, staring into the inner chamber where the animals were kept. "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly with concern. "There's something strange happening with the doves," he replied, pointing towards the small coops. "They have all gathered together and are behaving oddly." Naima joined him, and as she looked closer, her heart raced at the sight. The doves had formed a circle, all cooing in unison, as if participating in a ritual of their own. It was an unusual phenomenon, one that neither of them could explain. Naima felt a strange pull, a sense of belonging to something greater as she watched the creatures interact, their gentle movements mirroring her heart's unvoiced questions. "Do you think they know something we don't?" Japheth asked, glancing over at his mother with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. "That's quite possible, my dear," she replied, her mind racing with possibilities. "Perhaps they sense a change in the air, a whisper of hope amidst the chaos." As they stood there, a thought struck Namakaul. The instinctual behaviors of the animals reveal a message from creation itself. The world outside might be drowned in desolation, but within this sanctuary, life continued in a rhythm of its own, full of potential. Could it be that the ark was more than just a vessel? It seemed to pulse with the heartbeats of the creatures contained within, echoing life's resilience. Days turned into nights, and slowly, whispers of a deeper revelation began to surface in Naima's reflections. How could she uncover the layers of meaning hidden within the ark? She became determined to connect with each creature, to understand their lives as more than mere survival but as reminders of the richness of the world they once knew. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow that illuminated the vessel, Naima sat cross-legged before the goats. She closed her eyes, allowing her thoughts to flow freely. "What do you have to teach me?" she pondered aloud. The goats, sensing her presence, huddled closer, their soft bleats filling the space around her. In that moment, Naima experienced an ephemeral connection and understanding that transcended words. Each bleat felt like a story, each gentle nudge a reminder of the importance of care and nurturing. Her heart swelled with new wisdom. They were all part of a grand design intricately woven by the Creator. The flood, although devastating, had not severed their tie to existence but had transformed it, cultivating a different kind of beauty in their shared survival. With renewed purpose, Naima sought out her family, looking for opportunities to share the revelations that stirred within her. She encouraged the others to engage with the animals, each one opening their hearts to the wisdom that lay dormant. They began to notice small changes: a tap of a hoof, a rhythmic flutter of wings, a quiet gaze that seemed to beckon. Together, they forged connections, discovering that even in isolation, kinship could thrive. As the days stretched on, however, Naima began to feel an unsettling whisper in her spirit. There was something yet to be disclosed, a truth lurking at the edge of her awareness. Why had the doves gathered so fervently? What hidden messages lay within the behaviors of the creatures that surrounded them? As she gazed out over the endless waters, a nagging question settled in her mind: could these signs be premonitions of what lay ahead? And if so, could they truly prepare their hearts for a world beyond the flood, one that awaited not just their survival but their transformation into something wholly new? The journey inward beckoned, fraught with both wonder and trepidation, urging them to seek the untold story of their existence amidst the chaos of the deluge. The rhythm of the ark's existence shifted like the waters outside, ever turbulent yet strangely serene within its wooden embrace. As the days blurred into one another, Naima remained restless, driven by an insatiable curiosity that nagged at the corners of her spirit. Each encounter with the animals revealed layers of meaning, echoing an ancient wisdom she sensed but could not yet fully grasp. One evening, as the storm still raged beyond their sanctuary, Naamah retreated to the inner chamber where the gentle sounds of the animals offered her solace. She focused on the doves, their white feathers gleaming like beacons in the artificial light cast by the lanterns. She noticed how they interacted with one another, their movements fluid and harmonious. It struck her that their gathering was not merely instinctual. It spoke of unity, not just within themselves but perhaps also an invitation to her own family. Is there a message in your gathering? She mused softly, watching their serene faces. Each coo seemed to resonate deeper, wrapping around her heart as if they were calling her to listen more intently. Could the doves be bridging the silent divide between the realms of the known and the unknown? In her reflective trance, memories of enchanted nights spent beneath the stars flooded back. She recalled tales of ancient birds that bore tidings to prophets and seers. "What hope do you bring?" she whispered, feeling an urgency to connect with a truth she feared lay beyond her reach. Just then, a flicker of movement drew her gaze to the corner of the chamber where a solitary dove lingered apart from the others. This dove, distinct in its darker feathers, seemed to study her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. Naamah's breath caught. There was something different about it, as if it possessed a wisdom beyond the ordinary. She was drawn closer like a moth to a flame, captivated by the promise of revelation in its gaze. The rest of the family, sensing her rapt attention, joined her in the small space. Noah knelt beside her, quietly observing the dove's behavior. "What are you seeing, my love?" he asked gently, his voice filled with curiosity rather than judgment. Naamah hesitated, struggling to articulate the compulsion she felt toward this remarkable bird. "It's as though it's a messenger, Papa. Perhaps it knows something about our destiny, a truth we are yet to discover." Noah's brow furrowed in contemplation. "A messenger," he echoed, glancing between the solitary dove and the rest of the flock. "What if they are here to remind us? To guide us through these tumultuous waters, not just for our survival, but for a purpose beyond our understanding?" Their discussion filled the chamber with a newfound energy. The family exchanged fleeting glances of concern mixed with curiosity. Could their existence in the ark serve a greater purpose ordained by the divine? The question hung in the air, bridging the gap between mere survival and a potential calling. As the storm rumbled outside, Naamah felt a gentle urgency rise within her, a call to delve deeper into the symbolism of this time. She gathered her children close, igniting a spark of shared wonder. "Let us observe, to listen beyond the noise of the world around us. Maybe in our attentiveness, we can unlock what is hidden in plain sight." Days passed, each one marked by quiet deliberate moments spent studying the animals. Naamah found herself growing increasingly fascinated with the intricate dynamics within the ark. Her intuition whispered that the arrangement of life's tapestry was layered, rich with intent, waiting for them to unravel its threads, but as they immersed themselves in this delicate exploration, the underlying tension of uncertainty persisted. A single thought loomed large in Naamah's mind: was their confinement a prelude to a new beginning or merely an extension of their current plight? One moonlit night, she dreamt of landscapes vibrant and green, untouched by the deluge. In this dream, the solitary dove soared above, leading her toward an undisclosed path. Upon awakening, she lingered in the soft light of dawn, feeling the edges of the dream dissolve like mist before the sun. What lay beyond the floodwaters? Could the miracle of regeneration and the promise of new life bear witness through the whispers of the animals? Naamah held these questions close to her heart as she turned her gaze to her family, understanding that their odyssey was just beginning, a journey intertwined with the messages of the creatures entrusted to their care. The unresolved threads of her musings echoed in her mind. What awaited them beyond the ark? Would they discover the truths they so fervently sought, and would those revelations challenge their understanding of survival, faith, and ultimately, hope? As dawn's light spilled through the narrow windows of the ark, Naamah's heart felt heavy with the weight of her questions. The echo of the dove lingered in her mind like a cherished melody, each note a reminder of the depths yet unexplored. The storm outside had subsided, but the tranquil moments within only heightened the anticipation of what awaited them beneath the tilting skies. the day unfolded with an unusual stillness, the animals pacing less frenetic and the air saturated with a palpable expectation. Naima gathered her family around the wooden table as the sun filtered in, illuminating the dust motes that danced like spirits yearning to reveal secrets of the past. She felt compelled to articulate her thoughts, her newfound understanding blooming from the fertile soil of uncertainty. Noah, she began, her voice soft yet firm, the days we've spent within these walls feel like more than mere survival. The way the animals come together, it prompts me to think we are not alone in this journey. Perhaps every being here carries a piece of a larger truth, pieces that we must strive to understand. Noah leaned forward, eyes narrowing. You speak about unity, Naima. But what do you believe this unity signifies? Are we architects of our redemption or mere pawns in a divine plan? His questions intensified the air thick with thoughts unspoken. Naima pondered, threading her fingers together. Is it possible, she ventured, that these creatures exist not only as beings of the earth but as co-participants in this unfolding story? Each beep, bark, and flutter may very well be part of a great reawakening, whispering commands that we must discern. Suddenly, the pitter-patter of claws on wood caught their attention as a small group of animals, curiously, a blend of species that rarely mingle, began to gather near the center of the room. Naima watched with wide eyes, her heart racing. Were they forming a congregation? Their uncharacteristic assembly birthed an electric tension that filled the space. Within moments, the flock of doves returned, led once again by the solitary dark-feathered dove. It landed at the foot of the table, cooing softly, as if beckoning them to share this sacred moment. Each creature, from the timid rabbit to the proud lion, seemed to pause, collectively holding their breath, waiting for something to be revealed. Observe, Naima murmured, her finger brushing the edge of a piece of bread she had prepared. They teach us stillness amidst chaos, to find clarity where noise pervades. Noah's gaze softened, and he joined her in witnessing this phenomenon. Could it be that they sense something we do not? He mused, his brow furrowing in contemplation. Are they leading us toward a change beyond mere survival, toward revival? The children, engrossed by their parents' exchange, leaned closer, as if the answers to the universe lay within the fluttering wings and the gentle rustle of fur. Suddenly, the dark dove flew upward, its silhouette against the morning light a magnificent sight. For a moment, it hovered before them, then swooped outside into the remnants of the storm-drenched world. Shall we follow it? One of their sons, Shem, asked, his youthful voice a beacon of eager courage. The question hung in the air, charged with possibility, yet weighed down by the gravity of what lay outside their wooden walls. Could following the dove lead them to truths hidden within the fragments of their existence? Or would it amplify the unease that had clung to their hearts since the storm began? Naima felt an odd mix of fear and excitement blooming within her. What awaits us beyond the ark? Will we uncover the peace our hearts long for, or will our journey unveil greater challenges? As she posed her questions into the stillness, a flicker of doubt stirred within her. She understood their adventure could hold both peril and promise, a duality painted with divine brushstrokes, waiting for them to make their choice. The larger mystery loomed: in following the dove, would they traverse merely the physical realm, or would they also dive deeper into the spiritual? Currents that sought to guide them. The impending quest shimmered on the horizon, filled with possibilities yet tinged with uncertainty. Such depth of experience had to lead to understanding, didn't it? As daybreak settled into afternoon, the family stood poised at the threshold of the ark, wondering what mysteries awaited them just beyond the confines of their sanctuary. With hesitant hearts, Naima and her family gathered near the entrance of the ark, the wooden door creaking softly as it opened to reveal a world transformed. The remnants of the storm lay before them, a mixed tapestry of destruction and renewal. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and unfamiliar life, a fragrant invitation to step into the unknown. Look, said Ham, pointing toward the horizon where patches of green struggled to break through the mud. Life is returning. Can we trust it? Noah stepped forward, his presence steadying them like a tree rooted in faith. Trust isn't found in certainty, but in our choices amid uncertainty. Following the dove is as much an act of courage as it is of belief. We must confront whatever lies ahead. As they emerged from the safety of the ark, the sounds of the world enveloped them, a chorus of chirps, rustles, and faint howls echoed in the distance. It was a melody of rebirth, yet with each note, they sensed an undercurrent of trepidation, as if nature itself held its breath. Where did the dove go? Naima wondered aloud, scanning the cloudy expanse. Its fleeting shadow had dissolved into the vastness, leaving them with only questions in its wake. We must look closely, it may reveal more than we understand. The family began to walk, their feet finding purchase on the wet ground. Shem's youthful spirit bolstered them, as he called out to the unfamiliar creatures emerging from the thickets. Those are not just the ones we brought, they seem to know us. He marveled, pointing at a cluster of animals that approached, inquisitive and unafraid. Naima glanced at Noah, her heart swelling with hope and wonder. Is it possible that they recognize our presence? She asked softly. Have they sensed our journey of survival and now seek to join it? Within moments, the surroundings filled with life as animals ventured from their hiding places, deer, rabbits, plumed birds drawing closer to the family. It felt as if the world had conspired to welcome them back to life, urging them to embrace this fragile, budding connection. But amid the mingling of species, a sudden rustle in the brush brought an unexpected pause. From the shadows stepped a figure shrouded in remnants of frayed fabric. At first, Naima thought it to be another creature, but as the light broke through the canopy, she realized it was a woman, a stranger, yet familiar, with wild eyes that carried the weight of desolation. Who are you? Noah asked, voice steady yet laced with disbelief. The woman stepped forward, her face marred with streaks of dirt and despair, yet her presence held an inherent strength. I am Arya, she replied, her voice a haunting echo of untold stories. I was lost in the depths of the storm, left to fend for myself as the waves swallowed my home. I have searched for refuge among these wilds, clinging to hope. Naima felt a rush of empathy, her heart reaching through the chasm of circumstance. How is it you survived? She asked, drinking in Arya's presence as they stood amidst the encroaching wild. Was this woman a part of the mystery, a living testament to resilience? Arya's eyes flickered with recognition, as though she saw beyond mere survival into shared fate. I believed I would meet others like myself, those who yearn for connection amid chaos. The dove led me as much as I sought to follow, embodying the spirit of unity which you, too, have discovered. Not all who are cast out remain lost, Naima pondered, glancing at Noah and their children. Perhaps her journey intertwines with our own or serves as a reminder that survival alone cannot breed understanding. As they stood together, this woman of the wild and the family weathered by the storm, an atmosphere charged with unspoken questions filled the air. What was the significance of Arya's arrival? Did her presence illuminate aspects of their own struggles or lead them toward deeper insights yet ungrasped? With each unanswered question lingering in their minds, the family began to contemplate the intertwining threads of their destinies. Would they embrace this stranger, weaving her story with their own, or would the divisions of past lives draw them apart once again? With the horizon stretching endlessly ahead, the journey into the unknown beckoned. Even as hope flickered, so too did doubt, a duality that framed their unfolding adventure. Would they find unity in this new beginning, or would the challenges that lay ahead test the very essence of their bond? As the sun settled lower in the sky, casting an ethereal glow upon the damp earth, Naima and her family welcomed Arya, the stranger who emerged from the fringes of the wild. Her presence brought a newfound energy, an unfamiliar flicker of life amidst the remnants of the chaos they had survived. Every gaze exchanged between Naima, Noah, and their children carried the weight of understanding that they were no longer just survivors aboard the ark, they were pilgrims in search of connection and meaning in a transformed world. As they gathered in a small circle, surrounded by the intrigued animals that had ventured forth, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations began softly, at first tentative, but soon swelled as Arya shared her own story. With each word, her voice became a thread, weaving through the fabric of their collective experiences, connecting them not just by survival, but by shared understanding of loss and hope. I was separated from my family during the storm's rage, cast adrift upon the waters untamed. I clung to the memory of laughter and warmth, but despair was a constant companion, Arya recounted, her voice steady, yet tinged with sorrow. There were days when I feared never finding another soul. Then the dove appeared, a guide, perhaps, leading me back toward life. Tears welled in Naama's eyes. You followed the symbol of hope, just as we did. Who would have thought the very creature borne upon the winds carried such weight? Arya nodded, a knowing smile brightening her features. Hope can guide us beyond despair, it shows us that we are intricately linked, whether through threads of suffering or joy. In that moment, Naama felt a resurgence of her own strength, as though Arya's story was a mirror reflecting her own journey within the ark. They were akin to flowers sprouting anew amidst the ruins, vines intertwining in unexpected ways, each of them transformed by the floods that sought to drown them, yet instead serving as a baptism of the Spirit. Together, we can create a legacy beyond mere survival, Naama said, her voice trembling with conviction. Survival alone is insufficient, we must forge a new path rooted in compassion and unity. Her words ignited a fire in Noah's eyes, and the children leaned closer, eager to absorb the essence of her insight. As the group shared tales of lost loves, cherished memories, and newfound hopes, the sky painted itself in shades of orange and purple, a heavenly reminder that the end of one day was but the beginning of another. They fed off each other's energies, transforming individual pain into a collective resolve. Feeling the vibrations of their connection beneath the cool earth, Naama proposed a plan. Let us build a community, a new home where all are welcomed. We shall honor the lessons of the flood by nurturing the relationships built within its closure. Every creature, every person has a role to play in this new world. Her words echoed among them, binding their hearts together. They nodded in unison, the tremors of uncertainty giving way to a blossoming vision of a sanctuary, a shared space where life would flourish once again. Weeks morphed into months as they established their new home. Together with Arya, they nurtured both the land and their relationships, drawing strength from the memories of the ark and the stories of survival that had transpired. They worked under the sun, planting seeds not only of crops but also of faith and community. The animals they had once sheltered became part of their endeavor, becoming allies in the unfolding narrative of regeneration. Laughter filled the air again, the sounds of children playing amidst the thickets of greenery growing around them. The doves returned, often cooing from the trees above, remnants of past trials serving as harbingers of hope. Each morning, Naama would rise, the warmth of the sun kissing her skin, reminding her that the world was incessantly turning, breathing with possibilities yet to be discovered. And then one day, as Naama stood beside Arya, surveying the vibrant crops yielding their first fruits, something remarkable unfolded. The sky above broke open, and a vivid rainbow arched majestically across the horizon, the divine promise manifesting before their very eyes. Look. She pointed, and everyone turned their gaze toward the heavens, breathless with wonder. In that moment, the memories of storm-laden nights paled into insignificance against the promise of hope that hung, bright and vibrant, above their new world. It was Arya who spoke, her voice filled with awe. It reminds us that we are all part of this sacred story, that every storm will be followed by light. We have weathered the darkness together, now we shall flourish in the brilliance of life. As Naama felt the warmth of her children huddled against her and the companionship of her newfound sister in spirit by her side, a powerful revelation washed over her. Their survival was never just about the act of living but was an awakening to a greater purpose, transforming despair into hope, weaving the fragmented stories of survival into a tapestry of connection. In that sacred moment, Naama understood with clarity, life transcends mere existence, it is a dance of intertwining spirits, a journey through chaos that beckons us to recognize the sacred purpose residing within every breath. And as they stood beneath the transcendent arch of colors, Naama's heart swelled with gratitude. She whispered a prayer into the wind, a promise to nurture their legacy of love, unity, and resilience. They weren't merely survivors, they were luminous threads in the intricate fabric of creation, woven together by the hand of the divine, shining light into the world, whispering the stories of every creature that bore witness to their journey. The end of one story marked the glorious beginning of another, echoing through time beyond their measures, lighting a path rooted in hope for generations yet unborn.